We do it on Mondays. It's our 3-word game. We go back to the Thursday game. Every NFL game can be explained in 3 words. Here we go. First, Packers and Seahawks. Winless in Seattle. Aaron Rodgers now 0 for 4 against Russell Wilson in Seattle. The Packers this year 0-5 on the road. If a team can't win on the road and looks much different at home than on the road, there's a reason. And with Green Bay, they give up on the run. Aaron Jones, feed him the rock. What are you doing? They quit on it. They couldn't win in Seattle. Next up, Cowboys and Falcons. NFC East champs. Dallas is 5-5, 1 game back of Washington, and they host the Redskins. Short week, Thanksgiving Day. Listen, Dallas is limited offensively. Against Atlanta, they had 6 points entering the fourth quarter. But when Zeke is churning out 100-plus yards, 130, 140 yards, this football team with that front 7 defensively is a real team. They'll be the weakest division champ if they win it, but it does look like now they control the division. Titans-Colts, 10-0. Andrew Luck this is weird. He's never lost to the Titans. Can you imagine being a Titans fan? You go to 1 game a year, the Colts game? You think Andrew Luck is the Michael Jordan of the NFL. Andrew Luck now has an offensive line for the first time in his career, appears to have a decent running game. The defense is young, not great, playing their butt off. Coaches deserve credit. I called it 3 weeks ago. I said, keep your eye on the Colts. They're not going to win the division. They're going to get in as a wild card team. They're favored, by the way, by 10, Joy, over your Dolphins. 10 over, well, your Dolphins. Yeah. Ravens, Bengals. That was fun. Tebow had the record before Lamar Jackson, 22 rushes by a quarterback. Lamar Jackson shattered it with 27. Listen, he's better than I thought he would be. He sat around for 10 weeks. They developed some plays for him. It was fun. Got a little whip there. Throws it more like a baseball than a football, but it was fun. Now, not sustainable, not going to last forever, but that was way more entertaining than what Joe Flacco has given me for the previous 10 weeks. Buccaneers, Giants. Giants still alive. I can't believe I said that, but the Giants are 3-7, only 3 games back of Washington, and actually have a chance to be a wild card team or win the division. Oh, my head hurts. Listen, Eli's been comfortable. Now, I will say this. They had a new coaching staff. Is it fair to give them 8 weeks to get their act together? Yeah. I mean, it was really bad for 8 weeks, but it does look like in the couple of last weeks the protection's better. Eli's kind of clicking with people. Looks a little better. Eagles, Saints. While the Saints say who dat, the Eagles should say, what was dat? 41-point loss, biggest ever for a defending Super Bowl champ. Listen, it's the lottery winner syndrome. When you're not used to being rich, you don't know what to do with the money. And when you're not used to winning Super Bowls, Philadelphia, you don't know how to act. They're not great at anything. I mean, Carson Wentz visibly upset on the sidelines. There's no other way to put it. They got a little money. They got a little win. They got a fancy new trophy, and they weren't grown enough. They weren't adult enough to handle it. Steelers, Jaguars mailed it in. Steelers came back from a 16-0 deficit. That's what the kids call a flex. Pittsburgh, unfocused, 26 yards rushing, 3 interceptions, were an absolute, inarguable mess. Roethlisberger had more passing yards in the fourth than the first 3 quarters combined, but this is why I picked them for the Super Bowl. I contend they're the biggest, strongest, fastest, most athletic team in the league with a Hall of Fame quarterback. Give Mike Tomlin credit. Le'Veon Bell is out of that locker room. Not a lot of noise, and that was impressive. Texans, Redskins, Joe Theismann again. Do you realize the Alex Smith injury came 33 years after Joe Theismann broke his leg? And by the way, not only to the day, 33 years, but the final score of the game in 85 was also 23-21, Redskins winning. That is a spooky coincidence. Raiders, Cardinals. Here we go. Gruden magic back. Raiders 2-8, first win since week 4. Listen, I like the argument in the sidelines. Derek Carr and John Gruden, I don't buy this isn't going to last. I think John Gruden is smart enough to know that really talented quarterbacks, and Derek Carr's absolutely coachable and talented. He's a good kid. They don't grow on trees. I think the Raiders would be nuts to get rid of him. I think you pay quarterbacks now $25 million. Deal with it, John. That's what you pay a good quarterback. But you don't want to be in the NFL as in chaos at quarterback, and if you let Derek Carr go, there's a chance for chaos. Derek Carr and Rich Gannon are the two best quarterbacks Gruden's ever had. They connected yesterday. Derek, nice final drive, and they won the game. Panthers-Lions. Go for two. Well, listen, I have the better quarterback. I have a chance on the road to win. Cam had just come off another really good drive. I don't want to go on the road. I don't want to give Matt Stafford the ball again. If I can close out a game on the road and my quarterback's played great and I feel I have the better team, I'm going to put it in Cam's hands. By the way, Cam played great. Was not a great throw there. So what? Go for it. Broncos-Chargers. What the Phillip? Good hell, Phillip Rivers was awful. I defend Phillip Rivers. I bring him on the show. I love him. But yesterday, two brutal picks. And at the end, instead of taking a sack and running out the clock, he threw an incompletion. Phillip, you've been in this game way too long to make that mistake. Phillip Rivers, that was bad. That was as Jason Whitlock just told me, that was J.R. Smith for forgetting the score. That was bad. Vikings-Bears, Cousins equals Dalton. Among active quarterbacks, Cousins and Dalton have the two worst records in prime time. Do you realize that? Ryan Fitzpatrick is third. Listen, they're not terrible. I mean, Kirk Cousins and Andy Dalton, one NFC and one AFC. They're not terrible, but they're a little undersized. They're not great athletes. They've got sort of average arms. And I'm watching Kirk Cousins. Listen, the Bears' defense is real. I'm not saying it's an easy place to go in Chicago. That was the biggest game in a decade. But good God, was that frustrating. I mean, at some point, we've all overpaid for something. You got to believe the Vikings have a little buyer's remorse. Finally, tonight, Chiefs-Rams, not a preview. I do not think this is a Super Bowl preview. I think the Rams defensively have some holes. I think Ndamukong Suh and Marcus Peters, up to their reputation, are kind of doing things their own way. Neither is known as very coachable. They're doing a little ad-libbing. They've lacked some gap integrity, as they call it, on the defensive line with Sue, and Marcus Peters doing his own thing. That's why Andy Reid let him go. I don't think the Rams' defense is good enough to get to a Super Bowl and win it. And I think the Steelers are going to win the AFC. And I think the Saints, good luck for anybody wanting to go to New Orleans in January and beat the Saints. That's not going to happen with anybody. I think this is going to be the biggest, best Monday Night Football game in a decade. I'll take the Chiefs close, although there's going to be so much emotion at the Coliseum that may elevate the Rams to pull off that game late. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.